Awesome. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Fiends podcast. I'm Stevie Collier and I'm here with my co-host Andy Peliquin. Both of us are dark fantastical authors. We are here with the awesome and lovely Lilian Oake, author of her newest book, The Dragon Cager. And if you haven't seen the ebook, the book cover for this, I mean, you have to. It's so awesome. Anything that has a half-naked man, fire, and dragons in it, right there. It's the best.
The half-naked man was hard to get past. There's a story there. Sorry, go on.
You know what though? Like, it doesn't. If you were afraid, like it screamed romance or anything, it does not. In my opinion, it just looks like a barbarian man who just got out of a fight and his shirt got ripped off, and that's the way I took it. So it looks super cool. And if anybody's afraid, like, you know, I don't know if that was your fear or not, but the dragon fixes everything. It was?
Yes.
Oh no, I don't see that at all. The dragon is really cool too. So if we like to start these podcasts out with any news we might have had, anything, you know, share something cool that we might have seen. I know it's not fantasy related, but I just watched the last 3 episodes of Rick and Morty, and oh my god, so good, so good.
Absolutely. Rick and Morty, you know, it's one of those shows that I delayed watching just because everyone said it was so good. That's sort of my way of things. If someone says you have to watch the show, I refuse to watch it. Like with Westworld, when it first came out, it was just hyped, super, overly hyped, and so I was like, screw it, I'm not going to watch it. And then when I watched it, I was just blown away.
Yeah.
Same by Rick and Morty. Just some of the things that they say or do, you know, like the episode with Pickle Rick, where the therapist like breaks down why he's so terrible at being a father. It was just
and no one listens to her. I love it. What was I gonna say? That was me for Breaking Bad. Now I can't get enough Breaking Bad. And a lot of the craft books I listen to, you know, craft books on writing, they tear apart Breaking Bad. And it's sad because I haven't finished it yet, so I actually have to, like, you know, click the plus 30 seconds to get past it all. Quick plug on myself. The 4 Territories is out on pre-order. I'm more scared than excited. It comes out Tuesday. And Lillian, if you wouldn't mind, could I just share a review that I got?
Go for it.
I know this is your episode, but it's something that brought a tear to my eye because I wasn't expecting it. I put it on Royal Road Legends, like the first 5 chapters. And I thought it was a joke. Like, I asked all my family and friends if they had done this to mess with me, because it was really going to hurt my feelings if they did. But he says, I remember browsing Reddit for some books to read when I saw a beta test read that I could do. I signed up and got a copy, because I did do this, and none of my friends and family knew this. I read it over the weekend, only putting it down for daily needs. The story is phenomenal. It makes you feel how uncaring this world is, how Esh feels. The story has stuck with me after I read it. Always at the back of my mind it sits, bringing me shivers when I think back. Stevie Collier is a great up-and-coming author and is worth keeping an eye out for. Holy crap.
That is so cool.
Dude, Lillian, we've talked before about the imposter syndrome, and that was the biggest case I've ever had. Like, I didn't feel like I was worth it. And this guy's like a ghost. I messaged him twice. I haven't heard a response.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, none of my friends and family knew that I did that on Reddit. So, unless, Andy, did you freaking do it? You better not have done it, man.
I wish I was that, you know, that eloquent in praise of TV. I wish I had the forethought to do that, but no.
Well, to end it all, I'm just going to say if I get a bad review, any bad reviews, I'll just go read that, and I'll feel so much better.
Yeah.
So
it's reviews like that really do make you realize, okay, there is something there to share with people. You know,
it worked
like,
for somebody.
I'm not just doing this because I love it. I'm doing it because it's working. You know, it's helping me to connect with people. And I think that's what being a writer, at least for me, that's what it's all about, is to really connect with people, you know, to share my views on the world or my perspectives on people or just my random thoughts. And when people connect with them so viscerally.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. Awesome.
Then it really does say, okay, there is something there.
Before we go on any further, I think it's really important that From everyone here at the Fantasy Fiends podcast, we want to send our prayers and thoughts to everyone affected in the mass shooting of Las Vegas. Truly horrible. I guess that's all we can say about that, but, you know, I just wanted to put that out there that, you know, prayers and thoughts go out to you. All right, so on a happier note, let's get this show on the road. Sorry that we didn't begin this episode in French. Lillian, do you have anything cool or anything interesting besides obviously your new book release, which is doing well on Amazon already? Congratulations.
Thank you. That I mean, that one I've been, you know, kind of at it for some time, so that's sort of still just I guess still sort of my thunder right now. I haven't really been writing a whole lot lately, besides a short story for the anthology, for an anthology.
And there we go. Yeah, we've had a couple of guests on who are part of the anthology, and it's just like dropping hints here. And then when we actually talk about it, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, it's cool."
Yeah, that's sort of, you know, just I guess with writing, there's not really been a whole lot going on. Besides that, it's just, you know, doing all sorts of, you know, different projects here outside of writing. So I'm not sure what exactly you would consider exciting.
Are you? I know Joshua is heading to the Reader's Favorites Awards in November,
Oh yes,
or November. Are you going with him?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm gonna be the responsible parent and, you know, hang out behind.
Oh,
School and all that.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about Lillian is her Goblin Queen persona, and she and Josh are always posting about their little goblins, and there are things that they post about are just absolutely hilarious.
Well, kids are hilarious.
I saw. I was like, look. Oops, sorry. Was that loud? That's my husky wanting to go for a WALK.
Oh.
So.
Looks like
Yeah.
a dog had,
A what? A direwolf?
A white shepherd.
Oh, those are awesome.
Yes,
I almost got one of those. What was I saying? Oh, great. Well, okay, yeah, that's where it was. For Joshua's, I always like to do a little bit of research on the authors that we're having on, and I was looking through his Facebook, and I saw that video of you when you asked, "Where are my dragons?" Oh. And I watched it a couple times. I love the response. I haven't seen them.
That was when I first started getting into the show. I'd never seen it until probably that weekend.
I never caught on to that. Where are my dragons? That's good.
That was all me. That was all my voice. There was no voiceover.
That was pretty good. That was good. So Lillian, why don't you tell our viewers and your readers a little bit about yourself?
Well, I write for new adult and young adult. I've been leaning a little more towards new adult, mainly because I've been trying to add a little more of I don't want to say darkness to the writing, but going into a real more emotional touch of things, you know, as you get out of you know, high school and college age and things like that, you know, life starts taking over. You start having different kinds of issues than you did when you were a teenager. I used to really love just writing about, you know, teenage problems and the kind of issues that would come from, you know, that whole age. But I have seemed to just, I guess, grow out of that phase and lean towards more realistic, emotional, you know, charges and things that, you know, go on in people's lives that really shape the person that, you know, they really end up becoming as a, you know, when they get to middle age and whatnot. So I still keep it to fantasy. I like to try to mix reality and fantasy. So I am working on something, a series that is like a crossover, portal fantasy. Which that's going to go from, it'll start out sort of young adult, and then as the books go on, get into more of a new adult sort of feel to it. It'll be a good mix, I think, throughout, because the age, the whole problem that goes on with age. I mean, you have a character who she's, 17 as an elf, is reborn, lives to 17 as a human, but she remembers her memories as an elf. So she's technically 34 in her mind as when she goes back to her home world, where, Jador, where the, elves and all that are. So it's a whole battle of, mentalities between the age differences and all that. But that's sort of going to be the new, my main focus for the next probably few years when it comes to writing.
Okay, so that one book or the series of books?
It's going to be a series. And then I'll probably, end up doing what I've been doing, different characters that are not within the series, but still taking place in the world, with, their lifestyles and their beliefs in that world and all that. Sort of like, Dragonlance, you have all these different stories, all these different characters all taking place in the same world.
Yeah. I just read my first Dragonlance book over the summer, and that was the nerdiest, the dorkiest thing I've ever read, but I loved it. Oh man, I loved it. It was even more nerdy than playing Dungeons and Dragons, I feel. It was so good. Like it was good. Like when girls would pass by, I'd hide the cover, because I usually read by the pool. I'm like, oh, I'm just reading wait.
Cosmo.
Yeah, right. Cosmo, yeah.
I thought those were the more fun people who were reading those books back in high school. I mean, I think one of the best reviews I ever got on Dragon Cager was saying that the book is Pride and Prejudice meets Dragonlance. So
that's awesome.
that combination, I was so thrilled to hear. So I mean, it touches a pretty wide audience.
Do you want to? So what is Dragon Cager about?
Dragon Cager takes place in an alternate 18th century England. It's a maiden in the governor's household in a town there in England, who is framed by the governor's son, who she's in love with. He fooled her into believing he was in love with her. He frames her and exiles her, and she's tossed out to what they call Dragon Country, where she's trying to fend for herself, trying to survive barefoot in the snow. And she gets picked up by a dragon cager, which is a man who can turn into a dragon. And she's been raised on stories that dragon cagers are these monsters that, eat humans, and their main trick is to fool their victims into trusting them before they eat them. And so she meets this cager who's this charming, amazing, man who really seems to be trying to help her. And she's always got that voice in the back of her head saying, oh God, he's just trying to prepare me to eat me. He's just trying to get me to trust him. And the sooner I trust him, the sooner I'm going to die. And so she has to balance that sense of, or acting of trust, and, really having to put her faith in him to help her find out why she's been framed. She finds out that it has a lot to do with her ancestry and her family, finds that her family's really at risk for whatever reason it was that she was exiled. And it's really just that adventure and struggle of trying to find out what is really going on and not getting eaten by the person who claims he's trying to help you at the same time.
Yeah, I really feel like readers would be super mad if and before the story ends, he turned into a dragon, turned over, and ate her.
Yes.
It was all a ploy. Throw the book across the room.
Turn that
trilogy into how it ends until
turn that trilogy into a standalone with one paragraph.
Yeah, the whole book one subtitle is just a big ruse. It just adds to it reminds me of I don't know if y'all watched Bob's Burgers.
I've seen a couple.
Oh, okay.
Episodes. I have a kind of an idea.
Okay, well, there's an episode where the mom throws a play with her kids, and she just tells everybody at the beginning of the play, she says she's not the killer, and at the end she goes, so who was the murderer? And then she's like, it was me. It's just a big lie, and that's what that reminded me. Anyway, that's when I was able to watch TV before I made this a full-time business of writing. So I don't know about you, like YouTube, but like I feel like I have no more time. I actually have to force myself to do something. Okay, well, writing's fun, but you know, something like World of Warcraft or watch a show or go on a date.
Yeah.
You know, I've been struggling with that.
It's a good thing your girlfriend's not there to hear how difficult it is for you to go on a date with her, or else that would be the end of Stevie's career.
Woo! Like I made chicken for today. It's behind me, and while I was making, I was like, "You want to go on a date this weekend?" And she's like, "Won't you be writing?" I was like, "Oh, that hurt. That hurt." I was like, "It's an investment, baby." Yeah, whatever. No, she's not. She doesn't say stuff like that. But yeah, we're gonna go on a date this weekend, and that'll save me for 6 months, right, Lillian?
Date night. We're going on date night this weekend too. So.
Oh yeah, I need ideas.
Hard for us too. I totally understand the struggle. We have not had TV in this house. I mean, since we've lived here, we've only installed cable now, but just because it came with a package that made our internet faster and cheaper, so we need constant, ability to stream.
Nice.
Because of both of what we do, and it's just that constant need to be able to stream really large amounts of time. So that's the only reason we have cable. But
and y'all are both stay-at-home parents then, right? Because you work at home. That sounds freaking awesome. It really does.
In the beginning, it was a little scary, but we're getting into that groove of not having to leave the house for work, or having to really stress out about any kind of bills and payments and stuff that comes with it. But it takes time to build up to really and to organize yourself to be able to really start working from home full time,
and
especially with kids.
You and Joshua seem so young that I didn't realize y'all had kids. I mean, y'all are young, but I'm 25 and have no kids. And I guess I just figured that Joshua didn't have any kids. And then I was like, oh, Lilian Oake and Joshua are married. I didn't know that. What am I doing? So y'all have kids, right? Y'all have more than one kid, I assume, right?
Well, yeah, we're going to be a blended family. So he's got 5 and I've got 4. So, but we have six full time. I mean, around the house. So
it's like the Brady Bunch.
Yes, the mega nerdy Brady Bunch.
Hey, that sounds like fun to me.
It has its days of chaos, but overall, it's pretty amazing to see kids the way they grow and really get to know each other, even after when they weren't born siblings. But they're fun, and they've all got some sense of nerdy to them, so it's great.
Yeah, that's like. To be in my family, that would have to be a necessity. Like I'm already awkward as it is when I go. Like my family's rural, they are hunters, fishermen, and then when I'm at the Christmas party, I am the one talking about elves and orcs. So, and they're like, "Is that a type of deer?" Or something? I don't know. But that's actually my dedications. Like my grandparents, they only watch westerns. And they've always given me the time of day to listen to my story ideas. So I added that in my dedication. They took time to listen to me talk about orcs and goblins. So, Andy, do we have a word of the day?
Yes, the word of the day is visceral.
Visceral.
Earlier. For those of you who are listening and not watching, I made a goofy face when I said visceral earlier because that was the word of the day.
Yeah.
Surprise! So the word visceral remains related to deep inward feelings rather than the intellect, like a gut instinct. Something that's instinctive is visceral.
Something tells me this will tie very well into our subject today, but I'm also ignorant of our subject today. So I feel like I'm saying that a lot nowadays. Like we're just getting to these more and more complex conversations. Like we had Joshua in the 12 ignorant beliefs.
The 12 irrational beliefs, yeah.
Irrational beliefs that I was and I told my girlfriend about that. We actually went through the list together. So it was a good episode for me. And I've actually, I've done one. If someone makes me mad, I just say, "Oh, you're an ignorant person." You're not a bad person. Yeah, I'm not the best at that stuff still. Lillian, maybe you could correct me. But today we are talking about empaths, right?
Yeah, empaths. I love the concept of empaths. Basically, the concept is that there are these people who are more than just sensitive to the thoughts and feelings and emotions of other people. It's like they can actually feel them, or they're affected by them. You know, everyone has a certain amount of interconnectivity with the other people in their lives, your spouse, your friends, your parents, the people you hang out with. And of course, there is a certain degree of emotional cues that you could read off their expression or the way they talk, the way they stand, body language, things like that. But then empaths, it's like this, like the title is, it's almost a magical ability. I say magical because it's fun and fantasy, but it's something much deeper than just being able to understand, okay, this person's pissed, but it's like they can feel it.
Yes.
And that for me is something that's absolutely fascinating. Tell me some of your experiences, Lillian, with this.
Well, for example, some of my most recent ones, my 11-year-old, a couple years ago, she got surgery to remove a cancerous mole on her leg. And they had to cut deep. I mean, so it takes a lot of time for it to heal inside. And, we'd be driving to school, and, she has an occasional day where, we'll be driving and I'll get almost like a shot of almost nerve pain, kind of like a pinched nerve, but in my leg and in a very specific spot. And I'll be like, at first I'm just driving and I'm just kind of feeling this. And I'm like, well, that's weird. Like, I have no reason to be in this kind of pain. So I look over at my daughter and I ask her, I'm like, well, are you okay? Are you feeling something? And she tells me that, well, my scar's hurting a little bit. She's like, it's okay. It's not that bad, but, it's just a little bit. I'm like, okay. I'm like, where exactly was it again? Because it was a few years ago that she had the surgery, and I always forget which leg it was. But I like reach over and I kind of point at it. I'm like, it's right there, right? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, yes, okay. And I'm like, all right, I still got it. But besides that, we could be anywhere, just sitting around the living room, and I'll get a sudden pain in a certain part of my head. And I'll look over at either, Josh or whoever's sitting next to me and be like, do you have a headache right now? Like, do you need Tylenol or something? And they look over and go, yeah, I do have a headache, actually. Maybe I should go take some Tylenol. It's getting pretty bad. But it's actually feeling physical pain from people if they've, had surgeries, if they, just have headaches, or if, maybe somebody stubbed their toe or something, and it's been throbbing or aching or something.
So can you learn to be an empath, or do you just have to be born sensitive to it?
I say you can learn to do it. It's something I only realized it when I was about 12 years old. I had known that I was more sensitive than people before that, but when I hit the 7th grade was when I had said something out loud to some girls that I had just met at my new school. And they kind of looked at me like I was weird, because I had said something about, well, I could tell you what anybody, who walking by wants to be when they grow up. And then they're like, okay, like,
wow,
what's to mean? And I'm like looking at them like kind of shy, sort of shocked, like, wait, like, did I say something wrong? And they're like, okay, well, prove it. And I'm like, okay. And so some girl walks by, and I say, well, that girl, she wants to be like a model, or, something where she's going to have the camera on her, and, get that kind of attention. And this girl who I just met at the time, gets up and stomps off to the girl and says, what do you want to be? What are you planning on doing after school? And, first words out of her mouth is a model. I've always wanted to do something, to be on TV, to be in magazines. And she comes back and the girl's got like almost tears in her eyes, just being like, oh my God, like what just happened? What is it? She's like, do it again. And so that's when I kind of realized that it was not something, I guess, normal. But I started really focusing on that ability, on that thing that, I suddenly realized is not normal. And I would spend hours and hours every day in my room meditating. I didn't know that I was meditating at the time. It was just, things that I was drawn to be doing. There's something called fire gazing. You hear about it on Game of Thrones, but, they kind of overdo it. They kind of exaggerate it. But fire gazing is one of the best ways, I think, that you really sort of are able to clear your mind and really start finding that sense of self. You really start, your mind starts sort of turning into, changing into thoughts of more self-related things, you know, who you are, what you want, what, you know, you've been through, what life has been like. And it's just a sudden self-awareness that's extremely important to have before you start even trying to do meditations or any kind of, you know, focusing on other people's energies or emotions or anything to draw on. But it is something that can be learned.
What's really cool, I did just a little bit of research before this, and it's an emotional scale, the empathic spectrum, it's called. And on one side, you have empaths, these people who can, they can feel the sensations and emotions of other people. Like she was saying, the physical sensation when someone has a pain. Then there are highly sensitive people who aren't necessarily full on empathic, but they have the ability to sense a little, like much less. Then there are narcissists, which are on the far end of the scale, and they're the ones who have the lowest amount of empathy. They're, you know, narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths who have empath deficient disorders. So there is sort of this this empathic spectrum that everyone is on, and I'm not sure if anyone can learn to be an empath. I do believe you can develop your empathetic abilities or empathic abilities to a certain extent, but I think there are people who are just, I know I'm the opposite, you know, I'm very unsensitive.
It's interesting what you say about the two different spectrums there, because I don't know how much you looked into it, but most empaths will, you know, they don't realize they're empaths. They don't know really why they're so sensitive, and they get dependent on relationships. And empaths almost always end up in a relationship with a narcissist, and it gets I mean, it turns into usually a very abusive relationship. But it's just that need that empaths have to help people and to reach out to people, while narcissists, you know, they see that and they kind of cling to those people because, you know, they need that attention, they need that kind of energy on them. And so they're always, you know, it's more often than not, any empath you'll, you know, meet will have that kind of history in relationships. So it's like magnets, but it's just that whole polar opposite, you know, situation there.
Okay, so you said magnets, and I wasn't going to bring this up until you said magnets, and I didn't know. Okay, I was in my last business class before I was graduating, and it was seriously the last day of class, and I was ready to get out of there, but I was having a really bad day. But I was hiding it. Like, you couldn't see it on my face. I mean, I was having family issues, and I don't remember what they're about. You know, it was one of those things, like, but I was just sitting there, and I sat next to this girl, and I'll always remember her. She never said a word to me. She was very quiet in class, and she starts touching me, like touching my shoulder. And I look at her like, well, hi, I forgot her name. I think it was Bree. And I was like, what's up? And I thought she needed help with something. And she's like, I can feel like you're very distraught. And I was like, yeah, I mean, could you tell? I wasn't tapping my feet or anything. She goes, no, I can feel it. And I was so confused, but she used the word magnets, and she called herself something that it could have been empaths, because I would be looking for words like psychic, stuff like that, but I never heard of the word empath. But she said she felt like this ball of energy coming towards her, and it would splash on her, and she said we were tied together by a rope, and that she could feel stronger emotions whenever I had them, and that she may have connected to me since we'd sat together for so long. And luckily, like, I grew up with a mom who believed in that kind of stuff, so I've always been open-minded, and I believed her. And it was really cool, and we got along with that, and we were able to talk more about it. I just wish I knew more about it, but she did use the word magnets, and she said she could actually feel the temperature of it and see the color of it sometimes. Yeah, I don't know if that rings a bell.
That would be auras, and she could have used the word clairsentient, which
Maybe
is,
so.
You know, a person who feels energies and sees energies, and that is related to the electromagnetic field of the Earth, if you know, want to get that scientific with it. I don't understand all of it exactly, but I know that that's where, you know, all the energy that comes, you know, into people. And empaths, you know, they feel, you know, those the emotional charges and things like that from people, while you have clairsentient people who are just everything having to do with feelings. And I mean, they could to see a little, you know, more too. But
what about temperature? Because I actually, when she brought up the word temperature, I was like, oh, that's an awesome thing for a sorcery ability. So I actually put that in my book, that some of the sorcery felt colder, hotter. And, you know, relating the subject back to fantasy, I actually did add into my book that feeling of temperature when using a sorcery ability. So can empaths feel a certain temperature or something, or is it just pain or?
Well, I guess the only time I would have ever felt any sort of temperature is when, you know, one of my kids is sick and I could feel their fever.
Okay.
I could feel it radiating off of me. There is something, I can't think of the term now, but the people who do Reiki and Reiki healing, they deal with temperatures, you know, and they can, you know, heat up their hands just at the thought of it, you know, just by, you know, their mind to do whatever, you know, healing that Reiki. They're called energy healers. There's another term for it, but that's, I think, the general term is energy healers. And I think they're the ones who are more often heard of having to deal with also temperatures, along with, you know, other energies and that.
Yeah. I did a little bit of research to find out sort of the scientific explanation behind it, because, you know, I love the science of things. So you were saying electromagnetic fields, and it's true that everybody's brains and hearts emit an electromagnetic field. You know, a lot of either paganism or Wicca, they use that manipulation of the body's energy fields in order to into their spells. But it's scientifically proven that there is this electromagnetic field around each person, and empaths are supposed to be able to feel the electromagnetic fields of other people much more strongly than normal people. It's sort of like physical attraction that you can't really explain. One of these things, you know, there's this magnetism between the two people. This is just one. Then there's mirror neurons. There's a special group of brain cells that are responsible for compassion. It enables you to mirror the emotions or the feelings of other people. And so hypersensitive people, or people with these hyper-responsive mirror neurons, they resonate with other people's feelings more deeply. And that you know, that could be one thing. Like if you're looking at someone and you get these feelings, you know, you can just instinctively know what they're feeling. It could be the result of these mirror neurons.
Yeah, I remember reading something on that too. I think in that same time that I was reading on that was where I had read that humans resonate or vibrate at the same vibration that the earth itself does. And same with, you know, plants and animals, anything living. That's why they say, you know, if you are a type of person who can feel energies or can feel emotions, that you should try to move to an all plant diet, to eat anything that's plant, because plants are still alive when you eat them. Technically, that life force is still there, and it raises your vibration and gives you a better ability to really I guess what's the word, to attract people who are at a lower vibration. Well, not to attract a lower vibration, but to notice them more so that you can help them. But you start attracting people at that same vibration. I feel like I just like jumped into a whole different conversation here. I don't know if you've ever heard of the vibrational frequencies, where people are saying, you know, raise your vibes, raise your vibration, you know. I don't know how often you guys see anything, you know, of the metaphysical world there, where there's a lot of people who are saying, you know, the world needs to become more conscious. We need to raise our vibration. And that is really just raising your mood, your sensitivities, your awareness, so that you can be more empathic, so that you could be more aware of people and the universe and life and all that.
I actually listened. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I listened to one of those like great courses. It was like 21 hours on metaphysics. And I was looking more for like the law of attraction and stuff like that. And I didn't realize how broad it was. There's just, from what I saw, there was so much, like all the way from, you know, the energy field that we all live in, or something like that, to virtual AIs, artificial intelligences, you know. So that's, and I didn't see anything on like the vibrations, but that's really cool. So we all vibrate at a certain frequency.
Yeah.
It was, and you know where I learned that from? The Flash. When they start traveling between dimensions, you know, like from Earth 1 to Earth 2 or whatever, they actually mentioned that the people, you know, they resonate at a different, really interesting concept, and it's sort of the scientific foundation that she was saying about the people and their vibrations. Another one of the explanations, the scientific explanations for empaths, is emotional contagion, where if a baby starts crying in a hospital, you know, it'll set off a chain reaction of other babies crying in that same room. And it's just emotions are contagious without, you know, it's a very subconscious thing. Sort of like how when someone laughs, laughter will often spread. That same. Another explanation is increased dopamine sensitivity, where empaths, they have a higher sensitivity to dopamine, which makes them feel happy. And which is why they're more content with alone time reading and, like Lillian was saying, meditation.
Yeah.
Is this true, Lillian? Do you experience dopamine more than the average human?
Supposedly.
Supposedly.
Look at that smile, and you just can see that she's high on dopamine.
I've always been a very positive, very happy person. I mean, you could stick me in the dark with rabid dogs on chains, you know, slapping at my face, and I'll find something to be chill about. I mean, I taught myself to, you know, take any sort of stressful situation, and it's almost like a switch that you turn in your mind that just, it's sort of like, I'm going to get through this. Whatever this is, it's happening for a reason, and I'm going to be okay. This is not going to kill me, you know, or, you know, if it gets close to killing me, then, you know, at least maybe you'll learn a lesson from it. There's a point to all this. But I've always been just a very bubbly person. I've tried for some years in my life to sort of, you know, hold that down, to try to be, you know, a less bouncy type of person, less smiley and happy person. But I mean, you are who you are. And, you know,
did people tell you to do that?
It was just, I wasn't considered normal in my environment, in my community.
I have felt that as well. I asked that because I have felt that as well. So, and I found that it's impossible to do. You just can't calm it down. And it's gotten to the point where when I'm in a bad mood, people know something's wrong. People will get mad at me when I'm not my cheerful self. It's just like, and I always say, can I not be upset for once? You know, I always.
That's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you felt that before? You've experienced
that? I've had the exact experience. I mean, even at work, you know, I'll be, you know, sitting here and somebody will come and be like, you know, are you okay? Why aren't you smiling? You know, what's going on? You know, this is not you. I don't even want to be here if you're not going to be yourself. Right. You know, and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm a little drained right now. Wait for my coffee to kick in.
We're the cheer. So, do you know your personality? I'm an ENFP.
I could pull it up. I always forget because it changed.
Did it? I tried mine 5 years later, and I'm still an ENFP. So, and it's so, Andy, you got to do this. You have to do it.
I'm ENTJ, the commander.
Oh, the commander. I'm the champion. The champion. Yeah.
Oh, what is that test called?
The brigands. If you just look at yeah, I knew it started with a B. I'm really glad everyone here has done this already, and I'm just not the one weirdo. But
I'm an E something. Is it EN?
I'm an ENFP. So, and it said like your best friend will be an INFJ. Well, my best friend took the test. He was an INFJ. I was freaked out. I was convinced at that point that this test works. So.
Campaigner. I think I would, hold on, let me see, what are the other options? Once I see the word, I will know if that's what I was.
I have the book. I can go grab it real quick.
what is the other? Oh, personality. I'm here at the. Okay, no, yeah, I was a campaigner too. Yeah, I was an ENFP too.
Oh, you're an ENFP?
Yes.
Maybe I'm an empath.
I used to be an INFP.
Yeah, that was
ENFP.
That was my best friend. Not an INFJ, an INFP. That's what he got. So you were not extroverted, you were introverted at one point then.
Yeah, again, because I felt I had to be.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Just to, get along with people.
I, for a second there, thought you were going to say, get along, little doggy. Andy, I'm coming back to California. I've been in Texas too long, man. Get along, little doggy.
They really talk like that?
Not where I live now, but where I work, yes. Like, one of the people I worked with today just said, dog, how do you say it? Dog nabbit?
Dag nabbit.
Dag nabbit, yeah. It's like, you just step out of your zone a little bit. You just look at like, dag nabbit. What is that? So, Andy, should we get to the reading or?
Yeah, definitely.
And today is a special treat because we are putting Lillian on the spot, and she is going to be reading an excerpt from The Dragon Cager.
All right, and how long would you like this excerpt?
Well, that was unfair of me. Were you able to find an excerpt for it?
I think I found it a good page and a half where I guess won't leave you too confused.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So I already gave you guys sort of the
yes.
idea of what the problem is, or what the mean. Do you want to know who the extra character is here? Because he's going to be talking in this. It's Crag.
Yeah, we usually get it on everybody. Okay,
yeah, Crag is the a familiar, and he belongs to Lachlan, who is the cager. He's invisible, and Lachlan doesn't know that Evie, the main character, can actually see Crag. He's a little dragon, about the size of a cat, and he talks telepathically to Evie. So, all right. The air was cold on Evie's face as she and Lachlan soared high above the clouds. It was still early morning, and Evie's eyelids were heavy. It would be hours before they reached Barth, a fact that she constantly had to push out of her mind since her legs were sore from flying yet again. Lachlan turned his head and stole a glance at his rider. From the time they left the brothers unconscious on the ground behind them, he'd acted differently. There was a bit more pomp to his manner, as if he hadn't enough already. Evie shifted her weight to her left side and stretched her right leg, encouraging some blood flow to her toes. As beautiful as the scenery was, the ride itself was becoming unbearable, diminishing the sense of gloriousness. When the tingling in her legs would not subside, she hunched over in defeat and forced herself into deep thought over the brothers. The entire situation sent a torrent of anger through her body. Arthur was still hounding her, even after he sent her out to her death. Capture by Algos and Troll was clearly planned, but how did they find her? Were others coming after her? Nothing made any sense outside the theory that she was wanted for her druid blood. The Just family was not wealthy or popular in any way. They were but a humble, quiet merchant family. They were no heirs to anything of importance as far as she knew. With the thought of her mother and Andrew came the longing for them once again. She thought hard on all the events that befell her family, trying to make some sort of connection, but all efforts led to a dead end. Evie withstood another hour or so before she leaned down and pat Lachlan's neck. He looked back and shook his head as she gestured for him to land. She wrinkled her brow and followed his gaze as he dropped below the clouds for only a moment, enough to see they were nearing a town. They would have to pass it before they could safely land. A thought suddenly occurred to her as they rose over the clouds again. How long would it have taken her to get this far without Lachlan? If she were honest with herself, she knew she would have been dead. Without Lachlan there to nurse her back to health from her fever the day after her exile, she'd have frozen to death. If he hadn't shown up at the first meeting between her and Rook, she would have been a dragon's meal. Then he fought off the were-dog that attacked her in the woods as she tried to leave his mountain. That's an awful lot of good deeds just to earn your trust, Evie, Crag said. Evie shuddered as her thoughts turned to what she once thought she knew, that Lachlan is a cager, and cagers trick and kill, and they are good at it. His story of dreaming about her would have been proof of his ploy. Only a foolish human would fall for such a trick. Let me see here. Okay, sorry. But it's true, and you know it, Craig said. You've seen enough proof that you're not human and that something else is going on, something we have no control over and no knowledge about. Lachlan is about as blind to the end result as you. And I think that's where I'll end because I think there's too many spoilers that comes after that.
Yeah, it's hard to avoid spoilers.
Huh?
It's hard to avoid spoilers sometimes.
You are, for some reason, oh, I can hear myself. There you go. I think that worked. Okay. Was I the only one hearing myself talk?
No, I could hear me too.
Okay, cool. So she has druid blood as well?
Yeah, that's the other part. It's like the side story to why she's been exiled. It has to do with druidry and druid magic.
That excerpt just really told me how crappy her life has been. What was it? Were-dogs?
Were-dogs. Sort of, like the idea of werewolves or something, but they're massive. I guess sort of like dire wolves, just a little more nasty looking, I think.
I pictured the dogs from the very first Hulk movie that came out, and they're like those big nasty dogs that he has to fight in that rural area. I don't know if y'all seen it.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, okay. Well, they're just these massive mean dogs that'll kill anything, like even each other if they get in the way. So that's really cool. And so this isn't your first book though?
No, this is I've done a few short stories, and I had one story on Wattpad that that's been a pretty big success. And I only recently actually published that, to actually put it to print and everything. But it was on Wattpad for a couple years.
Wattpad is hard to be successful on.
Yeah, I got to it at the right time.
Oh yeah, okay, I've heard of that.
If you really want me to be honest, I found it and I just had a really good vibe about it. I was like, I don't know.
You felt it.
I felt something. I was like, it just seems like something I need to jump on. And I contacted Wattpad, and I talked to one of their marketing people. And I told them at that time I was publishing a book that is no longer out there because of my own decisions. Side story there. But I was publishing something else, and they were excited about that. And they said, you know what, we'll push your stuff out if you write us a story and put out a new chapter every week, and we'll put you on the front page. And as long as you go out and you share this so that more people will come to us. I had never heard about Wattpad until I started, until I found them, just through Google. And then, I hit 3.7 million hits on that story.
What?
And
way to go.
Thank you. A couple years after that is when I started, seeing other people on Facebook, going onto Wattpad and doing things. I was like, oh, okay, so people are, knowing about it. I just had never seen anything myself about it.
Now I feel like there's nothing wrong with fan fiction or, anime fan fiction or harem or whatever else they're writing. But I feel like that's the majority of Wattpad now.
Yeah.
But I have my own Wattpad story that I update weekly, just with like a 1,000-word chapter, just because it's fun for me. It's nothing I want to sell. I go crazy. I just let all my creativity go into that story, bad or not. I just enjoy it. And it's not that popular, but there's just so much on the website, But I think it's a cool idea. I really like Wattpad. And also Royal Roads Legends. That's another one. I don't know. Have you been on that one?
I haven't. No, I didn't know about that one.
Okay, that's a cool one too. They can review it, and you actually get a lot more views on Royal Road Legends.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look at that.
Yes. So, Andy, anything else you want to add today?
No, I was really happy with our discussion topic. It's such a fascinating concept for me, and it's sparking those story ideas. Yeah,
I feel the same way. I definitely, it would be cool to add an empath into my next book. And actually, I have the perfect character. She's not really explained a whole lot in the 4 territories, but I could always turn her into an empath. I wouldn't call it an empath, and maybe I'd make it a little bit stronger, maybe where at some points on a rainy day, she can hear their thoughts or something. I don't know, something interesting like that. But not saying empaths aren't interesting in themselves, but,
You know, you could always have a bad guy who finds out that, you know, a character's an empath and kind of use her as a voodoo doll almost, you know, sending out, you know, pain on himself to inflict pain on the empath or something.
I call dibs. I call dibs. I call dibs. Andy, put down your keyboard. It's my story. Whoa, this show is rated G. G for gangsta.
At least you didn't rate it T for thug, Stevie. That would have been. That's it. The end of the show. Sorry, guys.
No more Fantasy Fiends podcast. If you're just tuning in, this is your first episode. Andy uses the word thug way too much. Yeah. Okay, no, it's me. I use the word thug and lit too much. Like, if I could, my blurb would be, "It's gonna be lit, y'all," and that'd be it.
Isn't that the same language that basic people use?
Basic? Them basic bitches?
Yes.
I don't wear what those basic bitches wear. All right, Andy, should I just shut her down?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, well, Lillian, I think you broke a record on YouTube today.
Oh, did I?
The chat is going insane with, like, people insulting each other, and Joshua told a very embarrassing story about you. It was crazy.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah. All you got to do is go in the next room with a bat, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We got plenty of those lying around this house.
I'm not going to say anything. All right. Well, thank you very much, Lilian Oake, for being a part of today's show. How can people find you?
Well, Facebook right now is probably my quickest way to find me anywhere. I'm on there daily, even if I'm not, there for hours at a time. I am there every day, and I answer my messages all the time. My website is lfoakebooks.com. For anybody who wants to go and look at JDOR, the world where I do have empaths, and excuse me. Then of course I have a Twitter, which is LF_Oak. Beyond that, I mean, I'm everywhere on social media, Instagram, all over the place.
Awesome. And if you want to grab her book, The Dragon Cager, it is on Amazon. Just look up Dragon Cager or Lilian Oake. Super easy to find. I highly recommend it. And it is in Kindle Unlimited. So, I mean, that's where it's at, right, Andy?
That's right.
I may go wide one day, but right now I really like the idea of Kindle Unlimited. Anyway, I'll shut up. That's me trying to go right into that business part. I gotta stop that. So I could talk days about that. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for being a part of today's show, whether you're watching or viewing. If you are viewing, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. It's super hard to become lit on YouTube. I don't know. So please, that helps us out tremendously. We really appreciate you being with us today. Check out next week's episode where we will be having, actually Tuesday, will be my own episode. Yes. It's a shorter episode. We are going to be discussing the 4 territories, what it's all about. I mean, we're like 22 episodes in, and I feel like nobody's heard about no one knows what it's about. They just know I wrote this book. So got to talk about that. Maybe Andy will have a few questions for me, and then we'll do a reading of it. So it's a quick 30-minute episode. And then Thursday, Andy, who will we have?
We've got John Cronshaw, I believe. A British author. He's going to be joining us from across the pond. I'm going to be actually hosting it live from the Indie Scribe Convention in Berkeley, California. I'm really excited about that.
That's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah.
You definitely need a shirt. I love how you said across the pond. That's good stuff.
My language is very lit, Stevie.
It seems pretty lit. I'm not gonna lie. It seems dope. My dog.
Is that where the lit and lit RPG came from? It's just a really cool RPG, y'all.
You just blew my mind, Lillian. Do you feel my mind blown?
Totally.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure I lost some hair.
Little mini explosions on your forehead. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for viewing, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe. Everybody have a great day, and tune in next week for another awesome Fantasy Fiends episode. Goodbye.